This video is going to be brought to you by G Fuel, and as a 90s baby, I'm super proud to say that G Fuel has just released the Duke Nukem Ego Boost Collector's Box. It's a hail to the king, baby, because gaming's best bad boy is finally here. You got a groovy zero sugar combination of cherry, orange, and pomegranate that is sure to have you firing off on all cylinders, dropping heat via witty one-liners, and shooting off aliens into outer space like my favorite boomstick-toting king of the world, Duke Nukem himself. I mean, not only are you getting this super amazing Duke Nukem shake along with the energy tub, but also you're getting an amazing flavor. As you guys know, I love to drink G Fuel. I use it myself. It's one of the things I use for a quick energy boost. As you guys know, I upload on 3 YouTube channels and I still find time to work out, and sometimes you need that pick me up, and I love G Fuel because I don't crash after I use it. By using my link in the description box, you can either buy the Ego Boost Collector's Box, which comes with both the energy formula tub and this super amazing Duke Nukem shaker, or you can buy the energy formula itself. On top of having zero sugar, you also get a healthy dose of antioxidants and vitamins and just enough caffeine to bring out your inner hero. So don't hesitate, use my affiliate link down below or use my promo code KAGE at checkout to get yours today. The moment that Boruto 2 Blue Vortex showed the return of Kashin Koji, the cyborg clone of the legendary signing Jiraiya, it opened up a plot point that hadn't been addressed in over 4 years, which is the question being answered about Kashin Koji, what he's been up to, and whether or not he was still alive following the end of his battle with Ishiki. While many Boruto fans rightfully and deservedly do have questions about how Kashin Koji even linked up with Boruto, with the narrative strongly implying that Koji stepped in to assist Boruto in the time after Sasuke Uchiha fell in battle against Code and the Claw Grimes. The biggest focus for a lot of fans has been, now that Kashin Koji is back and revealed to be an ally to Boruto, what will Kashin Koji's next move be, which is what we're going to be discussing in today's newest Naruto Explained video for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. So as we all know, the last time in universe we saw Kashin Koji was when Boruto just barely escaped his battle with the 4 Shinju, Jura, Hidari, Matsuri, and the Shinju that's made from Bug's DNA. And as Boruto sat at the base of the tree and he was beating himself up over not being able to save Sasuke, Kashin Koji stepped out of the shadows and specifically told Boruto that the time for doubt and self-pity, it was over, that they must now prepare to fight, specifically for the war that is coming. Koji knows the threat of the Uzumaki clan all too well, with him even having the line in the manga where he tells Jigen that he was specifically created to kill Jigen, which he was. He was a clone made from Jiraiya's DNA and was able to go into Sage mode and maintain it as a perfect Sage without any assistance from the toads the way that Jiraiya needed. And he was also a cyborg with the body of Ninja Tech that Amato pumped into his body to raise his power output. Kashin Koji's purpose in the story, it had been linked both to the fight against the Uzumaki, but just as Ishiki stated, it was to serve as a star for change. And shout out to my guy Eternal Hokage, who got married a couple of years ago, but years ago he said it when we were on a Discord call together that Kashin Koji is going to train Boruto. Now we're seeing it. We now have hit the point where Kashin Koji appears to be ready to make his move, and with Boruto leaving the village so suddenly, we have to ask, is this the moment that Kashin Koji told Boruto about, that it was time for them to go on the offensive now? It brings up another question of what more has Kashin Koji been doing this entire time, because he comes across as someone well versed in everything that is going on. He did not seem shocked about the Shinju themselves, and he seems like someone who has a plan for a course of action that they're about to go down. He isn't mindlessly moving into a war with these Shinju without having a clear, careful plan to stand against them with so much at stake. And I think one point we have to consider is Kashin Koji's usage of the toads. Due to the fact we don't know where Kashin Koji was for the last 3 years, and we don't know how Boruto knew that Code was going to attack Konoha on the day that he did, at the exact moment in time that he did, it raises an eyebrow. And the only thing that makes the most sense is that Kashin Koji has had codes in Konoha to keep a watch, likely at Boruto's request. it's the only thing that makes the most sense, especially now that we know Boruto's mastered the flying Raijin, Boruto's inherited Sasuke's will to protect the villages as Shadow Hokage, and the Toads have been shown carrying Boruto's flying Raijin markers. That is the only straight line we can realistically draw. Now, Code might be a buffoon. He might be a big enough of a buffoon to make 12-year-old Naruto look like an absolute genius, but he isn't a big enough of a buffoon to sit there and just tell Boruto that he's going to attack the village on a specific date and time, even by shonen villain standards, where they sit there and explain how all their powers, etc. work. This is a huge overstep, unless Code was just that confident his plan would work. Kashin Koji and the Toads, they couldn't have listened in on Code making those plans from within the Ten Tails dimension, because if they could have done that, then Boruto could have just teleported to that dimension and he wouldn't have needed to break his treaty with Ada, which is a reminder, it was the only thing that was keeping him from having to worry about her giving away his location to Konoha, because their treaty was very specific. So long as Boruto stayed away from Konoha, she would not use her powers to assist them in finding Boruto. There would have been no need for him to blow all that up, because as he said, when Kawaki got involved, he was being an annoyance and getting in the way of a plan that was much bigger than the sibling squabble between Boruto and Kawaki. If he was trying to avoid all that, there was no reason for him to come to Konoha to go against Code unless he absolutely needed to, which means that he would have been keeping surveillance. It's for that reason, now that Jura and Hidari are back in the village, I don't think we can necessarily rule out Boruto returning to Kashin Koji at some point in the story to assist with these Shinju in particular, because if Koji does have Toad somewhere in the village, then Boruto is going to be made aware, but given how high the stakes are right now, that's not something Kashin Koji would agree to send Boruto back into the village blindly, especially super emotional with his sister being in danger. The win conditions right now, they're way too low for the Shinju in regards to any fight with Boruto, and that's something to keep in mind. All they need is one bite out of Boruto and it's game over. The Shinju can start producing a chakra fruit at that point, because Boruto is genetically 100% Otsuki. It's why Kashin Koji told Boruto to retreat when they ganged up on him, because things were getting too out of hand too quickly and they had too much to lose. Again, the win condition was much lower for the Shinju and it's much higher for Boruto. Kawaki, due to whatever reason, is less of a priority for Shinju like Jura to devour, but when they had a chance to eat Boruto, they jumped at it right away, no questions asked. Just taking a look at the narrative and how adamant Kashin Koji was for Boruto to escape and how confidently he said that they needed to go on the offensive, it means this was an outcome that Kashin Koji and potentially Boruto knew might come, and it's one that Kashin Koji might have a plan to carry out now that we're here at this point in the story. He didn't go into his battle with Jigen until the right opportunity presented itself. He waited. When Jigen was still recovering from his battle with Naruto and Sasuke, and he went in with a very specific game plan to exploit Jigen's weakness in order to take him down. It stands to reason that there is some type of a plan that requires prep time to end up dealing with these Shinju, which are basically walking Ten Tails made up from the body of the Ten Tails, made up from White Karma Seal Code's chakra and the chakra of those who they consume. I do think Boruto and Kashin Koji, they stand a chance at returning to the village now, but I don't think we see it right away. As in, Boruto just teleported away in the middle of the last chapter and then he returns at the end of this next chapter. That's gonna be way too quick for something like that to happen. Also, from a narrative perspective, we have to put our hats on here. We've already had Boruto be used to establish where the Shinju are in terms of power, and as well as characters like Mitsuki. It's now time to allow for some other characters who are going to play roles in the story to step in for a moment, because we need an accurate assessment of them, because now we know where the other characters stand in terms of the Shinju, so now we can start assessing. We've seen a good estimation of where Boruto is in his base. We can confidently say Boruto is stronger than Jigen and he's stronger than Naruto and Sasuke were in Boruto Naruto Next Generations. We've seen Mitsuki's Sage Mode transformation be pushed to the limit by base Boruto. Kawaki has been shown more than once using the Karma Seal, and he's been getting waxed as a result, in particular against Jura. The only member of this new main cast from Team 7 we haven't seen is Sarada use her full power yet at this point in the story either. Whereas Kawaki needed Karma to take out the Claw Grime that had the Rinnegan, we saw Sarada use a couple of Fireball Jutsus and a Chidori, and that was pretty much it. We just happened to have Hidari inside the village, who is being announced as Sasuke returning to the village, and Sarada is headed to the battlefield. It's one of those things that we have seen everyone else show out, and now the stage is being set for Sarada. Because of the story, you can tell it's Sarada and Hidari, and this being her first fight with the Mangekyo being a battle against the Shinju clone of her father. That's the one fight that needs to occur if we're going to see where Sarada is, and I think having Boruto pull back up so soon after leaving isn't the right play to make. At some point, obviously Boruto is going to be back in Konoha during all this, but you've got a shot right now to make a narrative where you miss Boruto Uzumaki as a reader, because he's been so front and center and involved in all these fights. It's now time to raise the stakes, because Jura and Hidari are both strong enough that nobody expects them to be taken down by any of the cast members who are currently there. But it's the journey to the defeat that's just as important as the defeat itself, and it's why things such as the swerves are just as important as the final battles that we're gonna get. You got a chance to get important questions answered for people like Sarada and Class Rep, Himawari's hidden power, and even someone like Damon, because there are 2 more Shinju that are still out there that we haven't seen yet. And Ada is by herself with Damon and Mitsuki. I am hoping that when Kashin Koji and Boruto pull back up, it's after we've had a chance to let the story breathe a little bit and flesh out the other characters through the battles. Not so much Team 10, but the other characters who we know are going to be closely connected to Boruto. I've said it before, I don't expect Team 10 to get much of anything outside of a little bit development here or there, basically sprinkled in as small sub arcs just like their parents, but not as extensive as what we saw with their parents due to the fact that this is a monthly format. The other benefit that you have is it gives a better opportunity to bring Kashin Koji back for the first battle that he's had since the fights with Jigen and Ishiki, where we saw the methodical, calculated side of Kashin Koji and how he used that to kill Jigen, and how he was able to adapt on the fly when fighting a losing battle against a much stronger Ishiki. The upscaling is something we know is going to be inevitable, but the path to revealing that upscaling for the characters, in particular Kashin Koji, is just as important as what we've seen so far. We've got a good chance for one-on-one battles, or in the case of Sarada, it's going to be a 2 versus 1 battle with Class Rep there to provide assistance, which indirectly shows us where Class Rep has improved and where she is in the manga, because it's worth noting, in the manga we've never seen her fight, so we don't know how strong she is in the manga. It's better to let the story breathe in this way. If you bring Kashin Koji back at Boruto and they're used as, say, a vehicle to give us new information about the Shinju and their purpose, that's a bigger payoff for the story than anything you can accomplish with having Boruto show up right now to save the day immediately. It's gonna feel a lot like, whoa, Superman wins again. That's not something you want to fall into. It comes off very corny and repetitive. Sometimes there's a benefit to making readers go through moments of hell, what I like to call hard times, where they're given the shock reveals, the characters start giving you hope that they can pull it off, and then the villain rips it away, and then you repeat the cycle until the main character comes up with the right formula to cook up a situation for the main character to start bringing home the W. A classic example being what we've had leading up to the current Jujutsu Kaisen chapter, which my review is here if you want to watch it.